This is Lee Ridley. I was lucky enough to achieve 2 promotions with Scunthorpe United, but nothing compares to the joy I experience when listening to the Iron Hour podcast. Just a heads up, this podcast contains strong language, you know, the good stuff. If this isn't for you, turn off now. For the rest of you, now fucking enjoy the podcast.
Right, thanks for tuning in once again to the latest episode of the Iron Hour podcast. I'm your host, as always, Barra. We're a man down today, but I'm joined by two of my usuals. First of all, then Iron Army, aka Gareth, or aka Iron Army. How you doing, bud?
I'm good, thank you. Doing well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. And Marco there at the bottom of my screen. How you doing today, champ?
Yeah, not too bad at all things considered.
Yeah, you're looking better today. Last time I saw you was on my TV screen, and you looked absolutely leathered.
I'm hoping this was via Gareth's blog and you haven't just got cameras up.
That's true, yeah, Gareth Blog. You,
But yeah,
Scarborough way, mate. You look like you'd had a few.
I'd had a few sherries.
Yeah.
There was Jaeger and too much alcohol consumed, but we had a great day.
And you were winding them Scarborough fans up.
It's easy done. Easy done. All 2 of them.
Oh, you've gone in early doors, mate.
No, to be fair.
You know this is getting clipped, don't you? He's clipping that.
That is literally it, but no, I don't actually know the guy's name who runs that account, but he seems sound.
Yeah, funny guy, isn't he?
Or she. I don't actually know.
Or they.
Right, well,
Who
there we go.
knows? It's a modern world. Right, so you've got a few things, 2 games to review, and then 2 games to look ahead to. So we'll kick off with the 0-0 on Saturday away at Scarborough. Now, I have to be honest, that's one of the only games I've actually missed this season, so I wasn't there, unable to get a ticket. Gareth, obviously you were there. What was the game like?
Football, basically.
And that's why he's on the pod, guys.
Yeah.
It wasn't cricket. No, it was one of those games that I said before, and I thought we'd draw with them on the previous pod. I thought we'd draw. I thought it was a stiff test, and they did. The keeper Whiteley played out with skin. Was it Gouda as well at the back? I think he'd been drafted in. He had a game and a half as well, throwing himself. There's a picture going around online which has blocked the ball. It's hit him in the back, I think. And yeah, it was just, we had moments, but we just couldn't get it in the net. The same as, normal, really. We had lots of chances and just couldn't get it in. And then it was frustrating. I don't know how to describe it. It was frustrating, for me as well. And Clunan was telling people to come out with a ball, bring the ball forward. And then when he gets the ball, passes it sideways. He didn't take his own advice, telling other people to do it. And it was just one of them games that you thought you could have won, and it just never happened, and you're just disappointed for it. So yeah,
Gareth,
frustrated.
I mean, I don't know if it's just me. I'm losing you momentarily, but we'll persist. Marco, how much of the game can you remember?
No, I can't remember it all, which is surprising considering how dull it was. It was a very forgettable game, and not because of the alcohol. It literally was just. Again, I don't think we played bad. And like Gareth said, rather than clear-cut chances, we did have moments. Whitley gives me nightmares. I don't think we're ever going to score past that keeper. I think he's fantastic. We played into their hands regarding crosses, throw-ins, Ogles. Every throw-in that Ogle took was a long throw, which is great and something we need to utilise. But if they're not coming in at power and we're not putting a man on the keeper, they're totally useless. There is no point in them. I get that we're trying it, which is great. But yeah, for him to come out unchallenged at every attempt of us doing so was just so frustrating. But yeah, I mean, we huffed and maybe a couple of puffs, but we definitely were not getting a goal, that's for sure. Yeah, really disappointing again.
I suppose it was good to see that to go more direct, as you say, with the throw-ins. I think one thing we have lacked in recent weeks has kind of been, both offensively and defensively, our ability to defend and attack set plays. So I suppose it was, in one way, it was good to see we were trying to be a bit more direct. Gareth, what did you think of the tactics of the game? Did you think there wasn't much wrong? It was just a tedious game, or what would you have improved?
I think it was a tedious game. But what they've improved, I want to start at Clunan. I've started Pew, is what I'd have improved. But I thought McAlindon started, did really well. I was impressed with him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it needed more players like him to get on the ball and actually run with it, run at people. He did that really well, but we slowed it down too much as we normally do. And it was, yeah, I'd have took Clunan off to improve it. I want to start him.
And Marco, obviously, Pugh has been making his return into the squad in recent weeks. How pleased are you to see Tom Pugh back in the squad?
Well, I've always been his biggest fan. I've been calling for him back for weeks. And I think he just gives us that. He's got that drive, which is what I said about the Blythe game. It's something we were lacking, is that drive and desire. And a lot, me included, always say like Butterfield or Clunan would give you that quality, which maybe Pugh or Shrimpton when he was at the club didn't. But I think that's quite harsh. I think Pugh actually can get his foot on the ball. He's a lot better than we give him credit for. So to see he's been playing, I think, is great news all round. But whoever they drop for him, it is going to be a talking point, because earlier on in the season, Butterfield's, Clunan's, even your Scales have all been fantastic, and you wouldn't have imagined them getting dropped. But somebody is going to have to, because I think Pugh's the better of the three of them in it form-wise.
I think, Gareth, you're sick of me saying this, because we were speaking, you know what I'm going to say, don't you? Tactically. For me, I think that it works well having Pugh and another, because it allows us to play that double pivot really, really well. Now, I was telling Gareth this on Tuesday, driving back from Shields. I think it's a little bit of a misconception that Butterfield is this offensive player. I think he's actually quite defensive, and really it's masked by the fact he's scored quite a few worldies this season. People think like he gets the ball and he drives us forward and he's always looking to get us on the attack. I think that's kind of a bit of a masquerade almost, because really what Butterfield does quite well is break plays up. Now, obviously, he's incredibly skillful and really talented footballer, probably technically the best player we've got at the club. But he's not the player that will grab the ball and drive you forward. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't think Tom Pugh was that player either until he went out on loan to Hereford. And, we've seen some of the highlights and seen how good he is since he's come back. And I think having Pugh and either Clunan or Butterfield works really well, because, as I say, it does allow that double pivot. Now, when you've got both Clunan and Butterfield playing side by side, I don't really think that double pivot's effective, because they're both so defensive, and that ball often will go sideways rather than being driven forward. That was like what I was saying to Gareth on the way home. So I know you're sick of me saying that, Gaz. But go on, jump in.
No, but I think with those two, Clunan and Butterfield, out of the two of them, as I said to you in reply, that Butterfield draws 2-3 players towards him, which creates more space.
Yeah.
Whereas Clunan doesn't do that. He doesn't have 2 or 3 players on him, because people have seen Butterfield score worldies, as you've said, and they just want to close him down, and so it leaves more space. But for me, Pugh does drive forward. He gets a tackle in as well. I know Clunan gets a tackle in, but for me, Pugh, likes to go forward and get forward with the ball. He's not afraid to, he's not looking to pass it sideways or backwards. So for me, it's Pugh and Butterfield.
No, I think you're right, and I think, I'd like to think that's the way we'll shape up on Saturday. Obviously, we'll get into the Shields game in a minute. The Shields game is a little bit different, but I'm really interested to see what happens Saturday, actually, on the back of Tuesday's game. But Marco, that was the Scarborough game summed up. Any kind of closing thoughts from you on the Scarborough experience? Any of the scenes we saw with John Parkin afterwards in the boozers?
Yeah, I missed John Parkin, which really frustrated me. But
so for those Scunny fans that didn't see this, a load of our mates obviously went out in Scarborough afterwards, didn't they, Marco? And bumped into John Parkin, who looked pretty merry, and I think he made a lot of Scunny fans' night, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's great. John, listen to all his podcast under the cosh, and it's fantastic. So for them to get to see him was good. And to be fair, the whole Scarborough as a day on the whole, before and after, there were no trouble, which is good to see. I know there was the flare incident, and the stewards being a bit heavy-handed, but I mean, the definition of if you play it with fire, you're going to get burned. That is the definition. So it's hard to feel sorry for people. But the day as a whole, yeah, fantastic. And just a shame about the football. I keep saying this. The day out's great. It's just the football that's getting him away.
So, Marco, were Scarborough kind of like similar to us? And did they play as bad as we did, or did they manage the game really well?
I think the way to look at that is I think Scarborough were happy with a point, which I think says a lot. Their game intention was to stop us scoring rather than them being on the front foot themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, we've experienced 90% of games this year. We expect that. And that's no disrespect to Scarborough because, I mean, their fans will be the first to say they're maybe 4 or 5 times smaller budget. A much smaller club now than they were. I know they've got a few good players, but like they're really overachieving. If they achieve the playoffs, that's some going for them. So for them to get a point off us, I think they'll be the happier of the two. But again, I've no qualms with that. It's up to us to break these teams down, and we're not doing it at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Speaking of struggling to break teams down, then let's move on then to the Shields game on Tuesday night. So both Gareth and myself drove up. Well, I drove up in a hire car. It was an experience, wasn't it, Gareth?
It was. It was. The speed limit, which was good. We
Yeah.
won't go into that.
No. I mean, what about the parking? He's gone again.
Oh, the parking, that was a thing of beauty. I had to get out of the car and put in between 2 bollards. About 10 minutes. There was loads of room.
Oh,
I
it
was
was
just
awful.
worried.
People were gathering to watch, weren't they, mate?
Yeah, I wonder what the fuss was about. Forward, back, forward.
Right, the football then. So, I mean, the first half, right, guys, that is genuinely the best 45 I've seen us play this calendar year.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really good. You know, we got forward, we drove forward. Lots of wing play, balls into the box, passing forward. Even Clunan looked good. You know, going forward, and how we never got a goal out of it, or 2 or 3, I do not know. Once again, you know, defenders throwing themselves at the ball to stop that ball going in the net. Goalkeeper pulling saves off. We just couldn't get it in, basically. But no, it was really good play, build up play and everything. And I said it'd come back and bite us, and it did.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was a problem, wasn't it? We just couldn't get it in, as you so eloquently put it there. Marco, when we failed to score, obviously get to half time and it's 0-0. Did you kind of know that the writing was on the wall?
Quite funny because obviously my dad does come to Scunthorpe games if I go, and he's not the biggest Scunthorpe fan, and he'll tell you that. But we just finished it up and we had the game on the TV, and I was out of the room. He goes, Marco, they're all over you. They are all over you. And I came back in and he went, look, another one. I went, that's us, Ange. He goes, what do you mean? I said, yeah, they play in claret and blue. He went, he said, I can't believe there's another team. So it's all Scunthorpe. I said, it's all Scunthorpe. And he was not wrong. It was literally all, we just sort of, we had them pinned. And like Gareth said, his players chucking their bodies in front of balls. But you have days like that, but it just seems to be, at the minute, our days very often. And we just can't finish at the minute. It's crazy. I know Jimmy Dean on the other side after the game said we were looking at that, potentially bringing players in. But is it confidence? Whitehall don't really seem the same player. We said the other week, is Elliot a 9? I don't think he is. So I don't know where we go.
No, I think, Gareth, how concerned are you then that we seem to have these so often this season, the 45 minutes, the 2 halves are just a complete contrast?
It is a concern. I think I said at the game that I'd rather we had just 2 mediocre halves.
Yeah.
And just, you know, didn't put everything into one half and nothing in the next. We just played 2 halves where we just played football and, you know, both teams had chances. I'd much prefer that because, you know, if you've had a good half and you've not scored, that we're not getting anything from that game.
Yeah, that's the problem.
You know, it's a frustration. You know, it's frustrating because you can see what's going to happen because it's happened so many times before. in previous games. It's not just a one-off. It's every game. It's a good half and a bad half. And I don't know what it is. Something happens at half-time. It's got to.
The thing that I don't think bodes so well, if, obviously, touch wood, we make the playoffs, which is the first time I've said that all season, but, all things being equal, we make the playoffs. The thing that worries me is, and this is something that, a friend of ours, Ryan Middleton, has said numerous times in the past, the problem with the playoffs is, particularly the non-league playoffs where it's one-off games, you don't have two-leg fixtures, a bad 15, 20 minutes and your season's tanked. Your season's done, absolutely gone with a bad 15, 20 minutes. I think for how good we are at spells, we are phenomenal at times. We have some bad periods of play where we just can't get hold of the ball. We don't create anything. And I have, me being honest, I do think looking ahead to, if we make the playoffs, I'm concerned we've got a dodgy 15, 20 minutes in us, let alone a dodgy half, Marco.
100%. We have got that dodgy half in us, like you say, and that will swing a game. No problem. We've seen towards the end of games, we seem to be really, don't know what the word is. We don't seem to be able to stand up to the challenge of holding on to a lead, or if we do get that goal, or defending it. Do not lose that game. We all saw Tamworth were losing, which I've stopped looking at now, by the way. But you start to kid yourself thinking, we win, Tamworth win, and we're back on the ride, but the ride's long gone. It's just, we just seem to be, we're not resolute. And especially in the playoff situation, we are going to have to be, it's going to be big crowds, like we said the other week, we don't perform well in as well. If we have that bad 5-10 minute spell that goes onto the pitch, it's very concerning.
So Gareth, obviously the second half kicks off then, and it's 0-0. We come out dead early, don't we? We're out 3 minutes before Shields are. We look absolutely pumped up and ready to go. The players are having something resembling a huddle. They're having a good chat. Looks like, we're going to fire on all cylinders. Kicks off. Within 13 seconds, Shields catch us cold.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a half-baked shot from the edge of the box, and Fitz is off his line. Just talk me through what was going through your head at that point.
I wasn't actually watching because I was talking into my camera, so I missed it. As I looked up, all I saw was the ball going in slow motion.
Yeah, it was,
and everything seemed in slow motion, and it's gone past Fitzsimmons, and I just thought that's going in, and you just think to yourself, after the 45 minutes we just had, so we've just kicked off and be losing. You just think, how's that happened? It's just, it's just a lack of concentration. It's, like you say, Fitzsimmons off his line, and he's off his line a lot. And I think in the first half, they showed him off his line, and they tried to hit it from about the halfway line. He didn't have enough on it. It went, he caught it. But every game, there's that opportunity for somebody to see him off his line and ping it. But like you say, that was edge of the box. But yeah, it's just positioning and just, I don't know. It was frustrating because you'd seen that first half and you thought, we look like world beaters here. And then you're 1-0 down.
Well, that's it. We have to offer the balance. We have to offer the balance. And for how phenomenal, how good we were in that first half without actually having scored, we were pretty shit in the second half, Obviously, that goal goes in then, Marco. It's 1-0.
Oh, yeah.
We huff, we puff, we kind of create a few half chances, but really, I would say up until us equalising, again, my feeling was Shields were going to get the second goal, Marco.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I thought they were going to get another. I thought we maybe had the slight momentum, but we weren't on top. I think that's the right thing to say. If either side could have scored in that passage of play. Obviously, it's great to see Semi Ferris scoring again. And at that point, you think, right, we might be let off here. Are we going to go get the second and win it? Because at that point, we hadn't played bad. The first half, fantastic. Keep going, like you say, it's a lapse of concentration at the start of the second half. And then you can be forgiven for having that bad 10, 15-minute period when they haven't scored, neither side had. But yeah, when we got that equaliser, you thought, here we go, we can get a result, but it's the hope that kills you.
And Gareth, obviously, just if you can, just for those that maybe haven't seen the highlights, talk us through Shield's second goal where Blackett receives it on the edge of the box.
Yeah, basically gets it on the edge of the box, runs across the 18-yard box, really. Is it Scales who's with him?
It was Scales, yeah, tracking the man.
Yeah, Scales just tracking him, and you think he's going to hit it. You know, there's a couple of times it looks like he's going to take the shot, and then it looks like he's taking it too far. Stops and he lays it off to who was it?
Thompson?
It was.
Stevenson.
I don't know.
Stevenson.
Yeah, so he lays it off to Stevenson and he just hits it. And it just goes through a load of bodies and, it's in. And you're losing 2-1. And like Marco said, we seem to be having a spell where we'd scored that goal. And you're thinking, we're going to get something from this game now. Momentum's building up again. The crowd got behind the team and everything. And, it was just, we just didn't get a foot in. And if he'd have got a foot in, would it be in a penalty? Would he have gone down? It's one of them where you're thinking, do I, don't I? The Scales, and obviously you never. And so it's just basically been laid back and put through a load of bodies and gone in.
The problem at that point was, obviously, once we're 2-1 down, I don't know what you thought, Gareth, but I felt like the mood of the fans, the Scunny fans, changed. Like suddenly there was all this anxiety, quite nervous. It maybe wasn't the most positive
the mood changed
environment
in the second half anyway. Yeah, so I think the mood changed from that first goal that went at the start of the second half. There was just a frustration from a lot of fans round about that it had happened. And then there were other little bits that happened throughout the half as well, when people maybe thought Fitzsimmons should have caught it and he's punched it, and just slips, missed headers, clearances. And that frustration did. And I don't like that, the players are hearing it. But I don't think it should have any effect on them when there's only I don't know how many away fans were there. I didn't hear a number.
I didn't hear, but what, 300 maybe?
300, that many?
Well, I thought so. Because there was the seated fans as well, wasn't there?
Yeah.
I thought about 250.
Whatever there was, I don't think that, I think the players should have the mentality to keep going and not let the fan frustrate them. And that's what it seemed to be doing, and it's not their first game either. It's happened in other games. And I get that, when people are on your back, it's a bad thing, but they're professional footballers and you get on with it and do it. It's not the first time they'll have had frustration from the fans, and it won't be the last.
I guess the obvious place to go is like where all fans go, is to start pointing at the tactics and what's going on in the game management. But like, to my mind, Marco, it's all well and good saying that, but we scored a perfectly legitimate equaliser.
I honestly, I know there's been a lot of talk regarding Jimmy this week. I feel for him, man. Like, the amount of bad decisions. And I mean, again, and I said it the other week, we shouldn't be relying on decisions. But, I mean, I'll go back to the goal at Blythe with the offside, which we were just like, what? That goal yesterday, like, we do keep getting these weird, like, genuinely, like, baffling decisions against us. So I do feel it, because that is out of his control. I mean, he must just be thinking after that game, what can I do? After that first half performance, to then concede 13 seconds into the second half, which just seemed to, I'm being frank, kick the shit out of us. And it did. It really did. We weren't the same team as we were the first half. Like you said, with the fans at the ground, I wasn't there, so I don't know. But it just seems everybody as a collective at the minute is just so drained. And I think that's coming onto the pitch. And you can see that the heads just dropped. They need a win, and they need it very soon, or I am really concerned about the playoffs.
No, fair enough. Obviously, we'll get on to... We've got quite a few fans' questions today, and obviously some of them are regarding the manager's situation. So we will get on to them. But before we do that, let's just look ahead to the next two games. So it's a tough one, really, on Saturday. We've got Alfreton at home, and at the moment, Gareth, Alfreton are in 5th place, and they've won their last 3 games in a row, and they haven't conceded in those games either. So how concerned are you, or how confident are you going into that game?
Well, I don't know if I'm confident. I mean, watched the last few games. I don't think I'm confident at all. And not only that, but 6 points behind us with a game in hand. And does that play on players' minds that teams are catching us up like that? But no, I'm not confident at all that we will get the win. I'd love to be confident, and I just think if we have a bad start, the crowd will get onto players' backs, the managers' back, and it'll just, like Marco said, fans are getting drained. We go into games and you get that buzz, that excitement, that first half at Shields, and the second half it just knocks everything out of you. You think, oh, why do I bother? So to go to Glanford Park, Attis Arena, whatever you want to call it, on Saturday, and go there feeling positive after the last few games, it's a big ask.
No, fair enough.
So yeah, I'm not positive.
Marco, what about you? Are you?
I think we're going to run through it now. No, I'm only kidding. It is really tough. Like you said, they're one of the form sides in the division. Although is beating one of those teams going to get us that confidence we need? Could it be a good time to play them, especially at home? We know, obviously not recently, but previously our form at home has been really good. Like Gareth said, it's really important we start well and take it to them, getting the first goal, because I do think, although it shouldn't, and I'd be the same, and I will be the same, if things don't go to plan and we go 1-0 down, it will be really hard to not be really concerned.
Negative.
Negative, and it will, because the reason being, it's not us sort of expecting. Obviously, we've got a team. It's great, and I've said this previously. But the reason I feel like me in particular feels this way is because I've seen that we can do it. That's what's more frustrating. I've seen us take teams apart this year, and we've got that in us. So there's something missing, and it's up to them now to find it and starting on Saturday.
Well, I'm going to call this now, right? So I think Shields was our lowest point in the season. Like I genuinely believe it's going to pick up from here. I think that's going to be the wake-up call that those players and maybe the management team needed. And I genuinely do have, maybe it's blind faith, I don't know, but I just got this feeling. I was out early for a run and I was just thinking about Tuesday's game and looking ahead, and I thought, yeah, I think that might be it. That might be the lull that kicks us off. Gareth, why are you laughing?
I'm going to clip this.
I'm sure. Stop the affiliates will be clipping it as well and be pulling it up when we get tonked 7-0 in the playoff final or something.
No, I just think that we've had those games before. I think where I felt like that we're at our lowest and we're going to come back from it and tonk somebody. And it never happened.
Well, it does. We scored 12 goals in 2 games.
I'm laughing. Well, exactly. Beginning of the season. We've not looked like doing that since.
No.
I'd be happy for 1 goal or 2, in a game. I'd just be happy for us to score some goals and just find the net again and get it in. But I'm glad you went out for a run this morning while I was probably just laid in bed doing nothing.
That's okay. Was you thinking of me or?
No.
Shame.
No.
So that's obviously the league game on Saturday. Looking further ahead to Tuesday, obviously, it might not be the most exciting fixture, but we're away at Cleethorpes on Tuesday in the Lincolnshire Cup. The only reason I mention it, I know it's not a full senior game, but I'll probably be going. Gareth, I'm pretty sure you'll be going. So I'd be interested for me to see how Jimmy uses. You've got a ticket, yeah. I'm interested to see what Jimmy does with that fixture, because that might be a prime opportunity to get some of these fringe players on the pitch. Like I was thinking about this. I was thinking it's a prime time to have this game. It'd be really good if we can get that McAlinden some more minutes, because God, doesn't he look good, by the way?
You say that about fringe players, getting them on but I think the first team probably need to get on and hopefully get a win
a game. Well, but again, then if that's the strategy, then that's a great opportunity for that as well.
I'm not saying.
I don't know if you were in a war bunker, Gareth, but you keep dipping in and out, mate.
Who, me? I can't. Yeah, I do, because I couldn't hear what you said then.
Yeah. 2 strings in a cup. It's like our first pod all over again, isn't it?
No flag to fall down.
No flag to fall down. Right, I'll tell you what then. Let's move on to the fans' questions. So Marco, if you could kick us off. The first question comes from David Welton, and he says, in the couple of games Wilson came on, he seemed to do well, but it appears he's been binned off. Did Youmbi or Clark show anything?
Yeah, I feel a bit for Wilson because it was just that moment, that lapse in judgment at the Blythe game really cost us. But I mean, that happens very often. But I agree, he did look to sort of put us on the front foot when he did play. Youmbi, for me, didn't look. Again, I can't really go off what I've seen of him because it's very little. But at Scarborough, he looked very lightweight. It didn't. To be fair, it's hard to say if he was good or bad because he didn't really get on the ball or even have a chance to affect play. So I haven't seen enough of him yet to really have an opinion.
He wasn't even in the squad on Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday, which maybe speaks volumes.
To be honest, I think the question David asks is probably, although he's not mentioned it, it's probably more at McAlinden than it is at the other two because McAlinden has played on that out wide position. He certainly did on Tuesday against Shields, and he's the one that I think is probably keeping Wilson out of the squad for Saturday.
100%, but with his build, you don't picture him as a winger.
No, but he's tricky, mate. He's really tricky.
Yeah, he put a couple of the South Shields players on their ass, and he did look a player. But can we utilise that somewhere else where we're not as strong? Can we maybe get a Wilson or a Youmbi on the wing? And I know he has played up front. It sounds like he's played pretty much everywhere.
He's a player, mate. He's a role player.
It looks a really impressive signing. He looks comfortable on the ball. He's direct, like you see. If you can play him on the wing, he's definitely a good. I'm going to say tool to have. He's a good player to have in our arsenal for sure. For going off the first two games he's played.
Gareth, John Bickley asks, any clues why Butterfield's not been starting?
Your favourite woman? Maybe it's just a Saturday Tuesday thing. You know, saving his legs. I don't know. Is he tired? But I can think of because, like I say, for me, he should be on the pitch and drag players closer to him, create space in other areas for other players. So I just think it could be a case of fatigue, maybe.
Fatigue, yeah. Marco, Will Cunningham asks, if we lose our next two games against teams around us, in and around the playoffs, do we change the manager or stick with Dean? Can we afford not to go up? Obviously, two questions there.
It's really tough. Look, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Whether financially we could do that. I know that's been mentioned a lot. Let's be honest. Does anybody know? Again, Jimmy's somebody who's meant to know this league. Who do we bring in that knows it better? It really is tough. But I do get the concern if we lose these two games with teams around us. I dare say it won't be thought about because it has to be. We can't. I don't think we can afford to not go up this year. I think we'd be in a lot of trouble. We know we've got players on big wages. It's a big budget. We're in 2-year deals. I don't know if we can sustain that for another year because the crowds will get lower. Unfortunately, I think they will if we don't go up this year. So, no, I definitely think the Jimmy Dean situation will be thought about. But like I said, I really don't know.
The second half to that question is an interesting one because he says, can we afford to not go up? Now, on the face of it, you would say there's little financial difference really between being in this league and the one above. But crucially for me, I've said this, since the start of the season, I've said this to anyone that asks me because I only give my honest opinion, but I do feel that attendances will be significantly affected next season if we are in this division again. The novelty we've completely worn off. We're a League Two side 2 seasons ago. I feel like the only reason we got away with this season being the second division in non-league was because it was a level further and we were suddenly going to start winning games again. I do worry for the attendances being affected by about 1,000, if not 1,000 plus, Gareth. If we don't go up.
It's a big thing. It's a big thing if we don't go up. And it's like you say, people are going to want to play. No disrespect to the Curzons, the Herefords, whoever, Scarboroughs. other teams that are in this division. I just think that the fans will vote with their feet. They'll look at it and think that money could be used elsewhere, and I'll take my family out for the day or whatever, and just not to the football. And it's when you the bigger picture, when you see what Michelle and everybody have done, it's bad on them, but people are going to be like that they will just find something else to do, unfortunately.
The next question then coming from Dean Town. Marco, one for you. It's a short question. He says, 1 goal in 3 games. Why?
I knew that, and I've Jimmy's G-way on. Honestly, Danny Whitehall, we relied on so heavily for goals. Just seems to be going through a really poor spell. Elliot, we spoke before. Is he number 9? We don't know. Sembi Ferry seems to be our main goal threat at the minute. So the fact that we've got 2 strikers that aren't hitting the net, that's got to be the answer. Not for the like of trying. Danny Whitehall doesn't seem to be the same striker that it was at the start of the season, and I don't know why.
Marco, there's two people doubling up for this question. It's Nick Bell and Paul Hicks, kind of a combined question. And it's, why do you think the lads have lost their fight desire and ability to play free football and attacking football? And how is it that we've gone from being top to 12 points adrift? What's gone on?
Well, yeah, no, nobody knows. And it's so frustrating. Just by myself, repeating myself. We were so good previously, like you said. It just seems to have only gone one way, and we're not improving. We're getting worse. And every game now seems to be huge and season defining. Like if we lose to Alfreton on Saturday, it's going to be a really toxic environment, which nobody wants. So again, these answers, they're tough. Nobody knows what's gone on. Has he lost the changing room? Is it a case of something's gone on there that we don't know about? I know in the interview after he said he put it to the players and nobody responded. I mean, that's worrying. You are literally their manager. I mean, you should. It's what's going on. I don't know.
Okay. Again, apologies to listeners. We're trying to battle through these technical issues. I think it's prompted us to think about returning to the in-person pod, definitely. But Gareth, if you can hear us, the next question from Michael Hale. He shares some of the frustrations that you've been channeling on the vlog. But he says, if you'd said to fans 6 months ago that we'd be second in the league and have a club with new owners in, we've got the ground back, the embargo's lifted, wouldn't most fans have been happy with this?
Yeah, I think they would have been. I heard that. Thank you. I think they would have been happy with that. Of course, why wouldn't you be? I think the reason they're not happy is the expectation. The players that we've got, they're expecting more out of them. It was. I think a lot of people thought that we'd walk this league, but on the other hand, I do think that teams come and have their cup final. I don't care, I'm saying it. They have their cup final at Glanford Park, Attis Arena, and they put everything into it. You've seen how they throw themselves at the ball when we're attacking. We try and get it, stop it going in the goal. To keep a clean sheet against Scunthorpe was a big thing. And I think the expectation of fans far outweighs anything else. We wanted to win this league. We wanted to go up as champions. And but I think if you said you're going to be second in the league or you're not going to have a club, obviously people are going to be wanting second in the league. People are going to be in the league regardless, wherever we are.
Yeah. Marco, obviously we've spoken about these new signings, but Stuart Moore says, I feel McAlinden offers great attacking and delivery opportunities. I'm looking forward to see what the other 2 acquisitions offer, especially Youmbi, as Stuart sponsored him. Do you feel that they're all good business, and do you think they'll help with the current goal drought?
McAlinden, I know we discussed earlier, he does look a real talent. Definitely looks, from the short time we've seen him, like he's going to be a good signing and very useful. Youmbi, like I said, I've not seen enough of him, but I know a lot of Farsley fans on social media were surprised that he was coming up to this level. Which again, there's no shame in that. It's worth taking a chance. The club's obviously seen something in him to warrant bringing him in, and whether that's just a new face for competition for places, which I think we've been lacking, or if it genuinely thinks he can bring something in to drag us up, even if that is the playoffs. With Flynn, we've only seen, what was it, the night? 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. Yeah. Again, same as Yumby and Scarborough, not really enough to see. But on paper, obviously, we know he's had his past. But I feel like if it wasn't for that, he'd probably be a League One player, if not Championship. So there's definitely something to be excited about there. I feel something we need to be getting on the pitch sooner rather than later because, like I said, we are straight. He's that attacker that I think might help us, and I think we might see him, if not starting, definitely featuring on Saturday.
So Stuart Doyle, I will read this out, Stuart. I'll respond to it myself. That's okay. Stuart asks if the fans really thought we would walk the league, and do you think the stability of the club is more important than performances on the pitch? Well, no, look, Stuart, of course, the stability of the club is more important than how we're doing on the pitch. But, I think there is an argument to suggest, as I said earlier, the two things are interlinked. And if we don't have success on the pitch, I do worry that those attendances are going to drop next season. And of course, if those attendances do drop, then that's obviously a significant shortfall in our ability to fund the club and sustain the club. So I think I understand what you're saying, Stu. I do. What you're saying is, we should be grateful, which of course we are. But ultimately, if we don't succeed, we are going to have less money and therefore we're going to have less success long term as well. Does that kind of make sense, guys? Do you see what I'm angling at there?
Yeah, 100%.
Rob McCutcheon says, regarding McAlinden, it's not a question, just a comment. I would like to read it out. He's again saying that was rated at Wrexham, and he probably one that could get the crowd going on Saturday. I know we spoke at length about McAlinden, Gareth, but how surprised are you that we've managed to get a player of this quality in?
I am surprised. Just because I can't imagine he's cheap on the wages. But yeah, it's a good signing to have, and I think with the embargo lifted to bring him in and to see him play like he's playing, kind of hoping that the rest of the team, can up the level to him. Because if everyone's firing the same cylinders as him, then I think we should be okay. But I think he's a good acquisition to have for definite.
It's so bizarre because of the three we signed, he was like, I don't know if you remember, but I tweeted saying meh when he was announced, but like having seen him play, I'm like, yeah, I tell you what, absolute Rolls Royce, lads.
Yeah, I think that's because he sort of bought him in thinking he was a striker, and then
this is it.
I read Wikipedia.
Correct.
One goal,
this is what's happened.
Million games, and you're like, he's obviously not a good player, is he? But there we go. Don't judge a book by his Wikipedia stats. Judge him by his performance.
Ah, yes, the old Chinese proverb.
Because he's been really impressive. He looks good, and like I said, he's someone maybe gets fans off the seats. And I don't think for one moment he was bought into the club to play him a wing. I just think that's how it's ended up, and he's doing really well there.
Marco, the next question from Simeon Morris. Again, we've kind of touched on it, but will staying in this league be a bad thing? Desperate for our opinion on this. And his view is that it would give us the chance to build for future. It didn't do Stockport any harm.
No, of course not. Look, I know we're saying attendances will drop, and I think we will until we do start winning the games again. If we do stay down, obviously we know the work we're doing above. We might not be as comfortable, but this club won't die. We know that. So although it'd be really frustrating, and it would definitely impact us financially, it wouldn't be the end of the world necessarily. We're not going to go bust, but you can bet your bottom dollar the plan and goal was promotion this year, and that was the be all and end all. It wasn't if Jimmy Dean says we'll maybe make a push for promotion. No, it is promotion was the be all and end all. So yeah, it would affect us 100%.
Well, we've got our old mate, Stop the Affiliates, jumping in for the next question. He says, ask Marco if Scarborough are still dog shit.
Oh, to be fair, when that comment was made at half time, I'll still stand by that. They were. Mainly because, and it's how I felt about a lot of the teams this year, is it's so frustrating when you sort of see a team sat deep with the sole intention of just to stop you scoring. But again, like I've said previously, I do get it, and I get that teams have to play to their strengths, and that was Scarborough's. They were very good at defending. But I mean, come on, they're up there. I think that's the first time they've not scored at home in however many games. So obviously a quality outfit, and I wish them all the best.
And sticking with Stop the Affiliates, Gareth, one for you. He asks, if Jimmy was sacked, who would we replace him with?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it? Who would we replace him with? I think we'd have a queue of suitors, just with it being, Scunthorpe. I know that sounds big-headed, but I think there would be managers out there that would think, yeah, I want to go at that. Do we get somebody that's known to the club? Do we go someone that's not known to the club? I think the main thing we get is somebody that knows how a professional full-time team works. And that's no disrespect to Jimmy, even though it sounds like it, but he did well at Peterborough Sports part-time. And I just wonder if that's part of the problem as well, that is a full-time professional team and he doesn't know how to G them up, as it were, to get the best out of them. And I fear that could be part of the problem, that it's stepped into something and it's a big step.
I do understand what you're saying.
So if we get somebody, it's got to be somebody that knows what they're doing.
I do understand what you're saying. For me, like, I'm gonna live and I'm gonna die by this. So I'm still backing Jimmy. I still think I would stick with him. I wouldn't make a change. I don't know that making a change. I mean, it's not too late yet. Like, there's still 12 games to go. If it was 7, 8 games, I'd be even more confident with what I'm saying right now. Like, it's getting on late in the season. It's not a good time to change a manager. The only exception I would make, but before I say this, I just want to say I'm not the kind of person who would advocate anyone losing their job. Like, it's just not the kind of person I am. But the only exception I would say is, if Jimmy did go, the only manager that I would be interested in getting is someone, and this person probably doesn't exist being available right now, is with massive playoff experience. Like, if there was a manager that we could find tomorrow that's been in the playoffs 6 times and won it 2 or 3 times, then yeah, fill your boots. But the reality is, all right, it was the previous ownership's decision, but Jimmy Dean was brought in and we're in second place and a couple of wins, and I think we'll be all right, Marco.
I hope you're right. I really do hope you're right. Like you said, this magical, mythical manager, he isn't there. And he isn't coming in on, can you just do the playoffs for us? Do you know what I mean? Managers now will want this contract. With us not knowing what league we'll be in next year, we're not giving that out. So I do agree with you. I think we have to stick with Jimmy because although they're not playing like it at the minute, he does know this team inside out. And you'd think he's the best man to lead us into those playoffs. Quite interesting what Gareth said about being on a small budget at Peterborough, maybe being able to manage that better. But I knew what he signed up for. He early on in his Scunthorpe career, all his interviews after games were he couldn't believe the size of the club. He was saying, "This is Scunthorpe." Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not acceptable for anything less. He knows the magnitude of his job, and I just really hope he can turn it around.
Yeah, I think you're right. But anyone that had come into the club would be saying the same thing, stepping up. It's a massive club. They shouldn't be where they are, saying all the right things. I think I'd be the same. You'd be the same. Barra'd be the same. We'd all be saying it. If we got that opportunity. But yeah, it's just I'm not saying sack him or anything like that, but I do wonder at times if the job is too big. He's not used to it. It's a different mentality. It's a different mentality. I know he's been here a while now, but managing a part-time player to managing a professional full-time player is a different kettle of fish, surely.
Gareth, I'll stick with you for the next question. Corey asks the positions we need to improve over the next few weeks. Lineups for Saturday with some players off form and players that would be loaned out or that you'd even sell permanently. Good grief.
What was the first part of that?
Yeah,
Read it again. Just the first part.
Just look at your phone, mate. But positions we need to improve over the next few weeks and the lineups for Saturday. So what we've resorted to, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to tell the listeners exactly what's going on here, right? Because of the technical issues, I am now sending Gareth screenshots of the questions ahead of time so he can answer them. So it's all really well and slick. But the problem is, he's now an idiot, so he's forgotten that we've started doing this.
True. Right, let me
just read it off your screen, mate.
Have a quick look. Positions we need to improve. It's got to be up front. It's got to be up front. I think that's where we're lacking. We're lacking goals. We're creating chances. We're just not putting them away. So we need somebody up there that can finish. Just has a bit more composure on the ball, and we need a striker in. For me, somebody that can go up there, and it's easy said than done. The strikers are 10 a penny, aren't they? Like managers that have managed playoff wins. But it's we need to do something up top. For me,
Ryan asked really. Go on, so go on.
Oh, go on.
Yes, stick with the question. Yeah, I mean, this is the best pod we've ever done.
I'm doing lineups now. I'm reading a message. It is. Lineups for Saturday with some players off form. I think for me, I'm dropping Clunan. I think that first half at South Shields, everything went well, but I would still drop Clunan and put Butfield in there, and that's all I'm changing.
Yeah, fair enough. So Ryan asks a pretty good question actually. Marco, I'll direct this to you, just for the reason of you've got working internet connection. Do you reckon we will go part-time if we stay down? Even if not, who will stay and go in the summer?
No, I think me as owner have came in on the basis we will be a full-time football club. But again, that's only my opinion. I don't know that. I can't see us ever going to part-time unless we are here for a period of years. Regards to people leaving, you've got your big hitters, people where it's no secret they're on the big wages with your Fitzsimmons, I know Maxi Coogan, your Butterfields, all these key players, but they won't be on small deals. But it's whether if we keep having the season we're having, a team's going to come in for them. Are we going to have to keep them on my books? Obviously, I know they'll be happy anyway. But yeah, it's very hard to tell who'd leave. A lot of players will be looking to obviously move on, but we don't have the youngest of teams, to be fair. It's not like we have many sort of young talents that you feel like could go on and make that step up. I know Smith was one when we had him on loan, but we don't really have anyone of that ilk. So yeah, it would be interesting, but I don't think we'll go part-time.
No, fair enough. Mark Gravel asks, full-time qualifications and the staff. It's time to close before it's too late. Could go on, but it's down to management to decide. I don't fully understand the question. Can you make any sense of that for us, Marco?
Well, if you can't, I definitely can't.
Okay. I think the sentiment is, I think Mark is saying it's time he would make a change, and obviously we've
when we said earlier, but I don't think it's the right time. I don't think there's anyone out there who's got this magic playoff wand. Jimmy knows the players. I feel like we've just got to trust him. I know it's harder. It's hard at the minute because the performances out there. The results definitely out there. But yeah, we'll just have to see what the next 2 or 3 games entail.
And a comedic note from Northwest Nobby who says, "What's Jimmy's payoff? He's willing to fund it himself."
God, that I don't know.
If you've got spare cash, Northwest Nobby, just give it to the club. I think they'll be glad to take it off you, mate.
Or a striker.
Or a striker, indeed.
Yeah.
Right, the next one. This is nice to have a lighter question. This one's coming from our good old pal Rick Waterworth. I like Rick. Down on
My sponsor.
Your sponsor, yeah. And he says, "Good day, gents." I'm not even going to do the accent, but that's what he says. Like I say, it's a lighter question. He says, everyone's aware of your footballing prowess, as proven by your undefeated streak in charity football matches, to be confirmed on Sunday. But what about cricket? What is each member's role in the game? Batsman, bowler, wicket-keeper, or even 12th man? Have fun, guys, and good luck at Broughton. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, Rick, I'm the only person who understands any of what you've just said. Marco, if you ask him... So, Marco, just talk to me about cricket.
I could do a 12th man thing. I quite like that. How many men play cricket?
11.
Oh, same as football. It's the same thing.
Yes.
My knowledge of cricket, I rang Barra Daly last week to discuss the India Test match.
Correct, yep.
Going off things that I'd heard of TalkSport to try and impress me. But he didn't fall for it. I knew that England had a few spin bowls the other day, but that's as much as my knowledge goes with cricket. Yeah. So regarding what position or where I would be, it would definitely be in the stands with a beer. It would not be anywhere near that pitch.
No. I'm a tail ender. Absolutely.
Hey!
No, Marco, I don't think you understand, mate.
They'll be playing with Trevor next.
No, I'm a tail ender. Can block them out, but I won't get him very many runs. And Gareth, what would you be, Gareth?
A stump.
I don't know.
I won't be there.
You wouldn't be there.
I'd be vlogging.
Yeah, you'd be vlogging it, of course.
From home. I won't be there.
And I think Max has got the physique of a spin bowler. That's all I can say. Poor Max. Again, that's probably a cricket joke. If you've ever seen a spin bowler, you might.
No, again, this is wasted on me and Gareth because, don't even try it. I just know that Trevor's a very good player.
Trevor's a great player.
Trevor is a great player. I've heard good things about Trevor.
Phenomenal ball skills.
Well, that's what everyone says.
Yeah. So we were going to do the moment, idiot, and hero of the week. I am mindful of our technological limitations. So, do you know what? Let's go for it. Let's see how we go. Marco, who's your hero of the week?
My hero is every single person that has sponsored a player in our charity game. To see how quickly they all got taken up. And even people just choosing people they don't know just to get some money towards the cause. It was so good to see, and a reminder that there's a bigger picture and what Scunthorpe fans and Scunthorpe family can really do off the pitch. Great to see.
Gareth, hero of the week?
My hero was James Maddison and Samuel, the little lad that he walked on the pitch with at Spurs.
Yeah.
He had cerebral palsy, and he just spent time with him. Obviously, it took time for Samuel to get onto the pitch, but he didn't try and rush him or anything like that. He got a round of applause. I just thought it was a nice moment, a nice touch. He took the time out to get to know him for it as well in the tunnel, and just spend that time with him and made his day really. Yeah. Well, but you keep Marco the point.
I mean, you've put me on the spot. It's like two. I'm gonna have to give it to Marco.
Two very good answers there, both worthy.
Right, who was your idiot of the week, Marco?
Me. The same with Run Through Scarborough.
You fucking muppet.
Absolutely me. I deserved it. I was too confident. I have been all season. And I'm just going to have to go full swan and lower my expectations because I have been so wrong. So Alfreton, they are going to kick our ass. I'm telling you now, they are going to run through us. And let's just hope it's the same outcome as Saturday or the game before.
What about you, Gaz?
Mark Osborne he was the owner of Torquay.
Yeah.
He stepped down today. He's put the club into administration. He basically wanted the land to sell, build houses on
Oh,
whatever.
I've heard
Didn't
this
get it.
story before. Surely this has
Well,
happened
yeah.
closer to home.
It sounds familiar, doesn't it? But yeah, so basically him, for, putting the club into administration, and it's not right. The fans are going to go through the mill like we went through the mill, and hopefully they have a happy ending.
Yeah, I'm going to give you the points, Gareth, just because you said happy ending for no other reason than that. So, what was your moment of the week, Gareth?
My moment of the week is Farnham Town. They've basically won 23 games on the bounce.
Yes.
So they played 23 games in the league so far. They've won 23 games, and they're 15 points clear, and it's all looking rosy for them.
What about you, Marco?
Mine is, again, I did it for Notts County. It's getting the opportunity to have a great day out like we did on Saturday. It was so close to not happening for us to not be able to have these great days. Again, spent with good friends. It's amazing what football can do. Just for people's minds, just to forget about everything else in their life for a full day. Scarborough were great, result aside. So that was my moment of the week, and it's something I was really looking forward to, and it didn't disappoint.
Yeah, you can have it, Marco. You've won 2-1. Why not? Right, we've battled through this episode. I can only apologise once again for the technical issues. Ironically, next week is a special date for us, isn't it, Marco?
Date night.
Yeah.
But
What
we have been doing the pod. Is that what you're after?
Yeah.
A whole year since we started and became an absolute menace.
So I think we have to meet up in person and do a pod because tonight's been painful.
Oh, beyond painful. It would be great to see everyone. It's been an interesting year.
Yeah, it has. Right, before we finish, I'm going to leave you with the details on the charity football match that's taking place on Sunday. It's the venue has now been changed to Broughton because of the weather. So again, we're raising money for Evie. It's such a fantastic cause. Paul Lass has got a brain tumor, which of course we all know about, and it's just amazing that Kirton Lindsay over 30s have agreed to play us. An iron our select 11. We're really hopeful of getting some people down, and just making a day of it if we can. And as you mentioned earlier, Marco, of course, she's my hero of the week. She's my hero of the year. These things really do put life into perspective. You think about the football, but it's so insignificant, isn't it? To this, so that's it for us. Thank you for listening once again. Oh, Gareth, that's amazing.
Oh, absolute kit reveal.
So, Gareth, if you start talking, then we will be.
I'm going to start talking. That's Evie. If you've never seen Evie, that's on the front of the shirt that we'll be wearing on Sunday. The Iron Hour podcast. It's also got some sponsors on. Let's have a quick look. You see that?
Yeah, we
Marco's
see that.
Nice.
On the sleeve. And then Best Blanks Wholesale on the back. But that's Debbie's business.
Awesome. Yeah, I hope we win. As I say, we are playing the Kirton Lindsay Pensioners Club. Sorry, the Kirton Lindsay over 30s. So I'm sure it'll be a good game, and hope to see you, many of you, down as possible. So until then, until the next time, up the iron.